Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put up my information real quick, so if you need it, you can take a photo or write it down. My name is Scott Rogers. I am the Student Success Coordinator for the Student Success Program on this campus, okay? My location is upstairs, B214. And I'm gonna give you my contact info. That way, if you have any questions, concerns, or you want to learn more about what the program is, you can contact me there, okay? So, are we all STEM majors in here, or no? You're STEM? Anybody else STEM? Yeah, okay. What are our majors?
Computer science.
Okay.
Biology.
Biology as well. Computer science. What about our non-STEM folks?
Architecture. Construction management.
Sweet. Good. What else? Anything else?
Electrical engineer.
Electrical engineer we got people on Zoom as well.
Sweet. Cool. So, student success. I'm housed here on this campus. Student success is a very unique program. It is designed to connect with students like yourselves and provide an additional support service. Okay. Our objective is your educational goal. Okay, so we talked about specific majors, kind of getting to where you want to go. A lot of you are probably going to transfer. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you're getting everything that you possibly need and maximizing your time here at COS, okay? A lot of our STEM folks are gonna be here probably for, 3 years because of the math, science sequences that you're having to complete, okay? Architecture as well, the amount of architecture classes that you're gonna have to take are gonna keep you here for a little bit longer. So what we do is we meet with you as students as kind of an accountability partner, okay? We have a lot of students who come from minority backgrounds, low income, first generation college students, right? No point of reference at home as to how to navigate the waters of higher education. That's me, okay? I'm your reference point. I was a first gen student as well.
Me too.
Yeah. So, as first gen students, we just don't know how to navigate the process, right? We're having to go it on our own. Why not provide a reference point for students on campus, right? That's me. So, my objective is to meet with you as a student periodically throughout the semester and discuss how things are going, whether it's academic or non-academic, okay? We can shoot shit for a while, okay, I don't care. I'm here. I'm gonna provide you therapy because I'm not licensed, okay? But sometimes just talking and getting things off your chest is therapeutic, right? So the program kind of organically, somewhat naturally helps you to stay on track, which then can help to improve your overall GPA. Students who join our program and complete our steps on average obtain a 3.4 GPA. You might be thinking to yourself, it's not very good. For college, that's actually pretty dang good, okay? The 3.4 is gonna get you into the majority of UCs. And if you're thinking to yourself, I'm more of a CSU person, right? No, you can get into a UC with a 3.2, 3.4. Okay? Maybe not Berkeley. Actually, no, that's not true. I had a 3.3 get into Berkeley. Dude had a lot of life experience though, so I think that's what he used in his letter, so.
I think Berkeley's overrated, but that's me.
I agree, I'd rather go to UCLA.
Right.
Yeah. Plus Westwood's more my vibe. Yeah. So. If you're a STEM major, okay, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to hit this class, okay? Mesa. Okay, if you are not connected with Mesa, who's first time, like this is your first semester? You did? Okay, so quite a few. Mesa is a program that you really, really want to attach yourself to. Okay, I work directly with Tess Hernandez, who's the director of Mesa. This particular program for our STEM majors is phenomenal, okay? The networking, the collaboration that goes on, the tutorial services, the Mesa lab, housed in Visalia. Just the synergy I feel like that's created with that program and the students that I have, that I work with in my program that are also STEM students and a part of Mesa, they love it, okay? Field trips, clubs, just a ton of stuff. We have women in STEM, okay? I actually,
Conference this Friday, I have it as an announcement.
yeah, so I brought in a little flyer. STEM is gonna have an open house. September 8th, 7 to 9 p.m. on the Visalia campus, okay? In the Ponderosa Hall, which is the large lecture hall next to the theater. Okay, so if you want to check out STEM, okay, I suggest that you make some time to attend their open house, okay? Or if you're just needing contact information for them, come see me, okay? I'll direct you to Tess, or even one of their coordinators.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, so it's really great program.
I wouldn't be a teacher without the Mesa program, to be honest. Mesa is what got me to study with other students here at COS, and I started tutoring. And I enjoyed tutoring through the Mesa Center, and it's what made me be your instructor right now. Mesa changed my life, and it's constantly changing people's life. It's how I learned about NASA, and how like 15 students a semester go do NASA.
Yep, internships up the wazoo. Yeah. So student success, back to student success and what I do. If you're wanting to learn a little bit more about what I do and what the program is, because potentially you may want to join, you feel like it's something that you can utilize, it's a service that you want to connect with. I really feel like, and obviously I'm biased, right? Because it's a program I work for, but I see the impact that this program makes in people's lives is incredible. Okay, I've had multiple students come back to me this semester, at the beginning of the semester, because they knew I'd be here. Like, hey, yeah, I'm in my master's program, I'm working on a credential, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's just really neat to see the progress that students make. And they really attribute it to the time that they had here and the connection that they had with student services and support programs like Student Success, okay? I'm not an academic counselor, okay? I'm not here to tell you what you need to take, but I will be a second set of eyes, review your SEP with you, look at the various institutions maybe you're thinking of going to and what the requirements are for that institution. So if there's additional coursework that you can leverage here, that would transition on. That's something that I kind of like to do. I like to dive a little deeper into kind of educational pathways and degree pathways. Even though I'm not a counselor, again, I don't tell you what to take, I will review those things with you, okay?
I want to say the average GPA for people not in the student support program is below 3. So 3.4 is,
Well below,
yeah,
it's like hovering over a 2.0.
so think about that. 2.0 is like C average, a little bit higher. So students are barely making it that don't have some sort of support. Students that are seeking out this extra stuff, it's literally just extra stuff to keep you on your game. Like Scott's gonna are you doing your shit? Are you keeping you accountable? And literally 2.0 to 3.1, it's over a full letter grade, average higher. It's worth it.
Yeah, your 3.4 is gonna be about a B plus, almost A minus average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half B's, half A's.
So like I said, I'm upstairs, I'm in 214, okay? The center is not exclusive, okay, to program students. You cannot be in the program and you can come in and utilize the center, Okay, you can access the laptops, I have 15 that are up there, so if you wanted to come in and do work. You know, you just wanna come in and lounge, you wanna nap, eat your lunch, I don't care what you do. Okay, you can utilize the space. You don't have to join the program necessarily to utilize me as a service, meaning, I provide students with 10 free pages or 10 free prints a day. So you don't have to be in the program to access that service. Free Scantrons, okay, so if you're using the bubble sheet for testing, you can come in and get that from me. Blue books, if you need that as well. I have a snack station in there, so if you're hungry and you need to grab like a granola bar.
What the heck, I didn't know about that,
Yeah,
It's beginning there now too.
right? I got my student ID.
shit, I don't need that, you just come in and get it. You just come in and get it and go, I don't care, it's there for you, it's free, so. But to join the program, if you wanna join, schedule an orientation with me, it's gonna take 20 minutes of your time. I'm gonna schedule it based on your schedule, so I'm gonna meet you where you're at as a student. We're trying to be as accommodating as we can, to our students. But like Joan said, it's like, it is an accountability partner. You know, if you need a swift kick in the pants, I'll give it to you, metaphorically speaking, not literally, so.
That's my job.
I can do that, but it's only if I feel comfortable, right, to do that. But no, it's to kind of review how things are going, how the process works. I help with a lot of other things too, non-academic. FAFSA, scholarship opportunities, priority registration, scheduling of courses, or working with you to get your course schedule set, adding your courses, transfer applications. If you are looking at the UC system, the transfer admissions guarantee, which is the acronym is TAG. It's basically like anything and everything you can possibly think about. I'm kind of like a jack of all trades, okay, master at nothing. So,
Do we still incentivize you?
incentivize, book voucher. If you work through the steps of the program, at the end of each semester that you complete the program, we provide you with $100 credit to the COS bookstore for access code, book, materials that are required by your instructor. It needs to be on the syllabus. During COVID, we used to allow it to be applied to tech, other supplies, but not anymore because we changed companies. But, yeah.
Speaking of that, you know, disbursements or.
There are alternate dates. Okay, for the first 3 weeks, it's every week. Today was one. Now it's gonna go every 2 weeks. Okay, so the next one's gonna be 2 weeks from today, so the 13th, and then another 2 weeks. If it gets close enough to the second disbursement date, because you're about to split up into 2 disbursements over the term. So beginning of the semester and then November 1st, you'll just get the full disbursement. Yeah, so like individuals who are on like an appeal because they're disqualified, they might just get the full amount by that time that they get it dispersed. Yeah, and then your Cal Grant, if you're a Cal Grant recipient, it's gonna be, or EOP&S, if you're in EOP&S, their grant, that's gonna be at the end of September, like the 27th-ish. So if you're a Cal Grant recipient, that's when you'll get that. Yeah, I know a lot of shit, guys. Okay, really, okay, that's.
Yeah, I haven't heard Scott come. I'm not having an impact.
Yeah, so anyways,
Thank you.
yeah,
For coming in. That does not look like you.
no,
No,
why?
it just doesn't.
Well, that picture was probably taken 8 years ago.
If you want.
Yeah, yeah, so I'm a little bit older, I got a little bit more salt going on,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, the question I wanted to ask, because we talked about this earlier, do you guys have a microwave up there?
In my center,
Or near the center where students can use it?
no,
Cause I know we used to have one in like, in the hall in A,
shouldn't take it out anymore.
but I don't know if it's out there anymore.
It's inside,
That's inside?
yeah, so if you go into the food services / bookstore, Yeah, there's a microwave there. Listen. If you need it. Across the hall in the lounge,
Oh, he'll
There
take
is
you
one.
over to the faculty lab.
I'm not gonna take you in there, but I'll warm up your food for you.
Oh, that's a nice guy right there. I wouldn't do that for you. That would require me to walk all the way up there. That's too much work.
That's just who I am, but see, I'm across the hall, so.
Right, right. you're
Not so much for me, if you're gonna come up and meet me halfway, then I'll go ahead and go over there and do it for you. Yeah,
It's a good place to start. They got laptops to use, you get like, which it means they probably have chargers if your laptop is going dead and you need it. What hours are you guys?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. I'm the only point of contact for computers on this campus on Fridays because the library is closed. It's only open Monday through Thursday. So yeah, it's kind of a ghost town around here on Fridays, so if you're like looking for a quiet space to, knock out some stuff, then feel free to jump on in. And I'm typically meeting students all day on Fridays too, because they don't have classes, they have more time, so that's when my meetings are usually scheduled as well, so. Any other questions? From anybody? Yes,
Who's the open house standing thing?
it's Mesa. So
Put up a flyer in our announcement.
it's September 8th from 7 to 9. Yeah,
So what's even better about that is on Friday nights, that's marks the first night. Right near there in John Muir 124. Friday night, starting at 6 P.M., we hold Friday night labs. Me and Professor John Redden and the engineering professor and several of the physics and biology, like a lot of the STEM teachers. We're in there with students just working on projects. They've rebuilt pinball machines, they built augmented reality games, they built little cars for a child that didn't have legs, or they had a disability and they adapted a little tiny like car for them to be able to play around with that service their disability.
That's from 7 to 9.
They do it from 6 to like as late as you wanna stay.
the Friday night lab is
That was so good.
every week. pretty
Yeah.
much.
And then that night, September 8th marks the first night we're doing it this semester.
Yeah.
They also offer dinner. So like it goes between pizza, or we'll have a taco bar, or like sandwiches from Togo's and a bunch of different options.
Yeah, you talk to Tess, like, same thing, right? Like the connections that you make, that's really where,
Makes a change in my life by a long shot.
yeah, it's just gonna impact you as a student, so making those connections lifelong, friendships and just connecting with people who are in the same boat as you, right? Going through these high level, hard courses, it's taxing, right? And you're having to go through bigger hoops, I feel like, than a lot of other majors are.
They got whiteboards all over, some of the tables are whiteboards. So you can just sit there and work on problems together. And then like, you just work stuff out, there's students working together all the time, there's tutors over there. All sorts of stuff in the Mesa Center, it's the go-to place for STEM.
Yeah. Oh, one unique thing about our program that I didn't mention for student success is there is no restriction. Other support programs or student service programs on campus. You have to meet a certain criteria. So this program is open to everyone. It doesn't matter your background, we're not targeting key demographics, right? We're not targeting certain student populations. We will take anyone, okay? For right now, Visalia is full. They are not taking anyone else, okay? I'm open. So if by chance you're Solari heavy or you're here this semester, but you're not the next, the cool thing is that we have a presence on every single campus, which not all programs do. We actually do have a Mesa presence here now. Have you already hit on that a little bit?
I didn't know if it's gonna be open this semester or not,
It is.
Seth hasn't told me yet.
Yeah, so get with her on that,
I will.
on the, because he's up there, I see him, he's got the A-frame with the, sign on it and
Okay.
stuff, so the tutoring is available. But yeah, least restrictive, so it doesn't matter what your GPA is, whether you receive financial aid or not, if you're undocumented, non-resident student, you can use our services, okay? So seek us out if you need anything, Hey, if you wanted to join again. Okay, just,
If you don't remember how to find them, I'll connect you with
Yeah.
Scott.
What are your office hours?
so I'm open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
Oh,
And my door is always open. I'm right next to the restroom, right upstairs on this side of the hall, same side.
okay.
If I
What
find
time,
out,
sorry,
if I
what
think
time?
it's- Go ahead.
Oh, what time?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
I just better not hear you complain about Professor Epic. I'll be disappointed,
So one thing will be.
right? If you don't tell them that, there's gonna be a lot of bitch going on.
When they're talking a bunch of shit about you.
I've already developed a relationship with this class.
Any other questions? Alright, I get it too.
Thank you so much for your time, Scott.
Great, have a good one.
Oh, there was chat going on.
She forces us to debate.
I didn't make you do shit. Tess is my favorite teacher. Xavier, why would you say some stupid shit like that? In my class, you're gonna tell me you like another teacher. That's, your mama didn't raise you right. She would raise you to like, if you're not gonna say something that's gonna help you, definitely don't say something that's gonna hurt you. Honesty's overrated. Like if you don't go in and snitch on yourself. That's like that what he just did. He said, Jones, what I read was Jones, you're not my favorite.
My bad, I forgot to mention that too.
Shots fired, all right. All right, enough of these shenanigans, I don't need this abuse. I deal this kind of abuse, I don't accept this kind of abuse. You don't believe me, there's abuse going on, just listen to Jimmy's crying. He'd be sniveling. So, what day, you said 4? It doesn't feel like it's 4. But we'll take his word for it. We are lecturing, we're continuing R4, this is like R4b. We are on factoring. And we looked at doing greatest common factor. We'll just do a small one real quick. We will have 30x squared y cubed minus, let's go with I don't know, what do you think? 12x cubed y. We don't need to do 3 terms, we'll just do 2 terms right now. Just as a reminder. I've never heard Scott cuss before, that's great. Keeps it real. So remember, the good way to go about doing this is making a table and writing down the factors. I recommend starting with just the numbers. So 30 is 6 times 5. And 6 is 2 times 3. 12 is 3 times 4. So I got a 3 here. 4 is 2 times 2. So any column that already exists, I'm gonna put a number underneath it. If I get another one, like the 2 and the 3. So clearly I could have chosen 6 rather than 2 times 3. But in case you don't recognize it, you should always go down to prime numbers.
I have a question.
Yeah,
So when you did 5 times 2 times 3, is there a reason that you did 3 numbers instead of doing like 3 times 10?
because ideally I wanna see what matches up with everything else. I'll show you 3 times 10 in a second.
Okay,
How's that sound?
okay,
It's
thank
a
you.
good, it's a valid question. Why is he doing what he's doing? X's, I'm gonna just write how many X's there are. There are ways to expedite this, as I'll show in a second. And then I'll do Y's. And Y cubed has 3 Y's. The greatest common factor, is only made up of columns that are full. Where did my blue pen go? I bet Jimmy did something to it.
I still like that.
What'd you do to my pen, Jimmy?
That's okay.
You some bitch. Oh, there it is. It's right there.
That's all right.
So these two have full columns. These columns are full. And this column is full. So the greatest common factor is gonna be 2 times 3, which is 6. X times x, which is x squared. And then times y. And then that's my greatest common factor. What I have left over goes in parentheses. If there's nothing left over in a row, use a 1. I don't have that here. This has a 5 and 2 y's, so 5y squared. This has a 2 and an x, and it was a minus sign, so minus 2x. I can always check my work by distributing it. So 6x squared y times 5y squared. I've got 6 times 5 is 30. I have x squared and I have y times y squared is y cubed. And if I do it times the minus 2x, I get minus 12. My x goes up another, so x squared goes up to x cubed and y stays the same. And lo and behold, that's what I started with. So this tells me if I multiply it back out, this tells me this was the correct factor. Now Hannah's question about the 30. And doing 3 times 10. I'm gonna backpedal to that for a second and show it. We had 30 and 12. Let's just focus on the numbers right now. We've got 30 times 10. And well, I see the 12. 12 is at least a 3 times 4. I could do that. And I would show my greatest common factor is a 3.
Couldn't you have also just done 6 times 5 and 6 times 2?
Yes, that's how much, yeah. I'm making sure I addressed her question.
All right.
Well, good, that I'm hitting there next. So here, we could have done that, but notice it should have been a 6 and we didn't capture it. So if you don't break it down enough, you may not capture it. Now Drew was asking, why didn't we do this? We recognize they both have a 6. You do 6 times 5 and 6 times 4. If you can recognize that that is the greatest common factor and you get away with do it correctly, I don't have a problem with that. This is the same thing as the 2 times 3. But you have to catch it. And it has to be caught in all of them. Drew, you know, because you missed you did one wrong earlier where you thought it was, you didn't factor the 9 enough because you missed something. So make sure it's always in there. And then ideally what you can do, if you want to break it down like that, don't just stop and go, this is my greatest factor. Go, okay, that's part of it. Do these have anything in common? And if they do, you didn't break them down enough. So if they do, you got to break them down more. I originally came up with this table thing to show for greatest common factoring. It was an epiphany in the shower. Like some student I couldn't fucking explain it to him, and all the way this on all the different textbooks, like nothing was connected, and I'm like, let's just make a table. And then I realized when we got a couple seconds later, it works with least lowest common denominator too, just in a slightly different way. And so like the table thing's a good format. And then after I started sharing that with other teachers, saying I'm really happy with this method, it's now in the fucking stats book. And I don't recall being in the stats book before. I think they fucking snaked my shit and didn't give me credit.
Pardon?
I should. Can't prove it. But one of them works with us, so you might. All right, any questions about that one? So the 6 works, but also at this point, I would go, do 5 and 4 have anything in common? 5 is a prime number, and 5
Sure.
does not divide in 4, so I feel pretty good about this. You may not catch the largest number. What are we? Peace to you too, bro, what's up?
2. If you get 4. 6 times 2.
Fucking champion, that's what I am. Said that shit a bunch of times and it's like. Didn't register. Yeah, 12 is 6 times 2. Aren't you glad you're taking me for math? I clearly know what the fuck I'm doing.
We fell this time.
What?
Oh, man.
What did you have the fucking nerve to say? And the lack of guts to repeat?
No, it's on.
Part of it. But this is a teamwork thing. I can only lead you to the water, but I can't make you to drink. Right?
Sure.
I can teach you, I can show you all the way, but if you don't do it, nothing I can do about that. Alright. Let's kick it up a notch. Let's do some shit that you probably are like, ooh, wow. But they will have it in the homework. They'll push some shit on you like this. It will have like 24 x minus 2 cubed minus 16 x minus 2 squared plus 6 times x minus 2. And they'll ask you to factor this. So I'm going to write them all out. Now, one thing I can start with, I can check to see if 6 divides evenly into everything else. This is a good idea, like picking your lowest number and going, does it divide evenly into everything else? If it does, you've got a good factor already, and you know that's the only number factor. 6 divides into the 24, but it doesn't divide into the 16. So we're gonna have to write it out. 6 is gonna be 2 times 3. 16 is 4 times 4, which is 2 times 8. And I'm gonna do the 8 because I know the 3 and the 8 don't have anything in common, so at this point, it doesn't matter if the rest of the columns match up. 24 is, I could do 2 times 12, or I could do 3 times 8. But that's probably not good because I need a 2. 24 has a 2 in it. So we should use it. So it's 2 times 12. And fuck it, I'll just say a 12. I could break down the 8 and the 12 more, but the 3 doesn't go into the 8. So there's no point. At this point, there's no point in breaking out 8 and 12 more. If you start with the lowest number, you can kind of narrow it down and speed it up. If you don't recognize that, write out the 8 as 2 times 2 times 2. Write out the 12 as 2 times 2 and a 3. Then we move on to the next part. It's got an x minus 2. We could have distributed the x's and the x minus 2, but that makes factoring even harder. As it is, this one has an x minus 2. This one has an x minus 2 and another x minus 2. And this one has an x minus 2, x minus 2, x minus 2. So the GCF will be our completed columns. It'll be that number. It'll be those. So it'll be 2 times x minus 2. And if I grab the rest of it, I have 12 times x minus 2 squared minus 8 times x minus 2, and then plus 3. Now, at this point, I got a lot of parentheses, so I'm gonna like make this a bracket. Cause it's got parentheses inside of it, and I think it makes it a little bit easier to read. There is a good chance the homework does not want you to stop here, because it's a rat fuck. What it's gonna want you to do, it doesn't factor anymore. But it doesn't look all that simple with everything broken out. It may want you to multiply this stuff out in here. I wonder if that factors more. $36 and -8. No, it doesn't. Alright. So. This is really x minus 2 times x minus 2. We're gonna multiply that out. When you multiply that out, that is x squared minus 4x plus 4. And there's still a 12 in front of it.
I have a question.
Yeah,
How do you know when it's like how you did -8 and then on the last one you did like -2x? Like, how do you know if it's like add or subtract?
it's going off of what the symbols are up top.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Here I can distribute, I've got 8 times x is -8x. And -8 times -2 is +16. +3. Here on this line, I can clean up and at least add the 16 and then 3 together to make 19. I gotta distribute here, I got 12x squared minus 48x plus 48 minus 18x plus 19. And so if I gather all the like terms inside the bracket, I have 12x squared minus 48, 58, 66 minus 66x plus 48 plus 19 is plus 67. Something's off here.
Yeah, it's a.
That was not an 18, that was an 8. So this should be 56. Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I'm just making sure there's not another. You see how easy it is, just accidentally just fucking throw in a number that doesn't belong? Be thorough on your test, write out all your steps. Because if I see you did that and it's clear, like if you're this clear, you show all this kind of work, I will see that you just fucked up right here. This is not a big penalty, this is not a big loss of points in the problem. That's just a simple mistake, like if it's worth 10 points, you'll lose like 0.5. Whereas, if you don't understand how to take out the greatest common factor, that's a big hit on a factoring problem. Be very, very careful to show your work. Okay, so that's greatest common factor. Everyone ready? No, I see Ben's still writing. Hey Jimmy,
so,
guess what one of my favorite songs is? Like top 3,
what is one of your favorite songs?
Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones did that.
It is good, man. I want to see them, but their tickets are like fucking $1,000.
Are still playing?
They were as of a year or two ago. And I looked at it and I was still, It might have been a couple years,
Like Revolution,
I don't know. If I just don't recognize the band name.
or reggae music.
I do like some reggae. Alright, so that was greatest common factor. Next thing we wanted to look at, we were gonna do count the terms. So we had step 1, look for the GCF. Step 2, count the terms. And the first one we wanted to look at was 4 terms, do grouping. I'll put up the other ones too. 3 terms was trinomial. I don't know why I shifted to a regular ink pen when I've got my big old like super markers. 2 terms is binomial factoring. And then we might have special factoring. So I'm going to proceed with looking at 4 terms and grouping. What's the time for? Do I have an rough day, Jim?
No.
Good.
Very good.
That's awesome. Great days are good days. I'm glad I could be part of it.
That's great.
But that happens. Usually when something suspenseful is going on. Look bored, Luis.
Huh?
Look bored.
I got a lot of stimulation at the beginning of the class, probably draining.
Alright, so let's take a look at like 9y cubed minus 15y squared plus 6y minus 10. When I say do by grouping, try pairing the first 2 together and the second 2 together. So try first 2, second 2, or 1 and 3, and then 2 and 4. It's never 1 and 4 and then 2 and 3, unless they're out of order. So I have these in descending order. So this pattern works. Like I can either check these 2 or I can do these 2. And I'll actually let's show both. Let's do both. So within these, we're gonna do GCF. So what do 9y and cubed and 15y squared have in common?
3 in a y square.
They have a 3y squared. If you need to, do the table. 3 times 3, 3 times 5. Y squared and another y, and then a y squared, and we see we got a 3y squared. What that leaves behind is a 3y minus 5. What we're looking for when we're doing grouping is we want a match. So if there's a match, we want to see either a 3y squared or 3y minus 5 in the last set. Now, we don't have a y squared in the last set, so it can't be the y squared one. Right? Does that make sense? Is there something I can pull out of this that will give me a 3y? Pull out a 2. Will that give me a -5? Let's check.
Yes.
Turns out it does. Now, if you had factored it on your own, that works as well. But sometimes you might have something extra where it doesn't look like you have something in common. We'll see if it pops up in a later one. When you have this, now what we're looking at is we've got two things. We've got one term here and one term here. And we're pulling out what's in common here. What's in common here is the 3y minus 5. So we put 3y minus 5 in front. And we have what's left over, 3y squared plus 2. That's going to go in its own parentheses. This seems like utter madness. Can I check if I'm right? What can we do to prove that Hefe hopefully knows what he's talking about?
It is distributed through.
Yeah, let's just multiply it out. So if I multiply it out, let's do our check. I'm gonna do 3y times 3y squared is 9y cubed, oops. 9y cubed. And then I'll multiply 3y times 2 and I got 6y. And then I'll multiply minus 5 times 3y squared is, shit, I don't even have a column for it, minus 15y squared. And minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. So, like if I rearrange them in descending order, I do in fact get what I started with. Nine y cubed minus 15y squared plus 6y minus 10. Alternatively, what you can try to do, sometimes doing the first two together and the last two together doesn't work. But doing the first and third term together and the second and fourth term together does. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna do the 1, 3 and then the 2, 4. And we're gonna look at that. I'll put them in order. I'm gonna put 9y cubed next to the third term, which is 6y. And then I'm gonna put minus 15y squared next to the minus 10. And we're gonna do the same thing. What comes out of this pair? 3y. And what do I have left over?
3y squared plus 2.
3y squared plus 2. I look familiar? So I want to either get a 3y out of this last set, which I can't because the 10 doesn't have a y, or I want a 3y squared plus 2. If I'm aiming for a 3y squared plus 2, what needs to be going in front of it to end up with the 15y squared? -5, right? Quick check, -5 times 3y squared is -15y squared, that works. -5 times 2 is -10, that works. I now have 3y squared plus 2 on both of them. So I can factor that out. And whatever's left behind gets its own parentheses, 3y minus 5.
You could do these in either way, so long you have to put the same.
Yes. Now, I have a different order, but that's okay.
It's the same.
It's the same thing, just like 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Order doesn't matter in multiplication.
It's multiple choice with one or the other shown, you just select whichever is correct,
I will never give you a multiple choice question.
so we would. Write it out.
I would not insult you to give you a multiple choice question. I'm not some science teacher. Should write it out. If teacher, math teachers that give multiple choice tests, i.e. like Scantron tests. We won't say it to their face, but we don't think very highly of them. Any of the math teachers, none of them are saying anything, but we kind of like snicker when we hear that someone gives a math test with Scantron. I think it's a disservice to students. Because while it feels really easy to fucking fill in bubbles, there is no way to get partial credit on a Scantron. You are either 100% correct or you're wrong. That's not going to be good to the student. Any questions? Sometimes doing the first two together, the second two together does not work, but doing the first and the third and the second and fourth does. It's weird like that. So it's always worth checking more than one way. But if you find it the first try, you're good to go. Again, remember, when you do the first set of factoring, you're looking for repetition. Because the idea is to get this ultimately factored down into a couple parentheses. Let's take a look at another one, because I know you're like all excited about it. And Drew's like, I can't wait to go home and tell my family about it. Let's go with family. I don't know who you live with, so I can't like really. You might live alone for all I know. It may not be family at all.
I feel it's all ghosts in my house.
We're gonna do r squared s plus 3r squared plus 5s plus 15. Go ahead and try to do this for a couple minutes on your own and see what you get. I'm definitely gonna be looking over the homework this week and extending due dates because I'm behind schedule. That's okay. The last 4 sections I'm not required to teach. I like try to teach them because they show up in calculus. But some of that shit you won't use for like a year, so you're not gonna remember anyways. You need to tell Scott quit buying so many snacks and buy a microwave. Right?
Oh, they're good, yeah.
He's a good guy.
Huh?
He's a good guy.
Seems like a good-
The whole program's pretty good for students. Like a full letter, over a full letter grade, average higher, that's pretty good. Considering they're not tutoring you or anything. They're just like in your corner rooting for you, that's good, some good shit right there.
For homework so far, we only have R1 and R2, right?
I think so. But like I said, I'm gonna go through and extend some of the stuff, because I don't know that like we're on the right schedule. I need to go through and like, it's taking me a little bit longer. Some of the stuff I don't account for is like our visitors showing up. Other stuff I didn't account for is like getting along well with a lot of the students, so wasting a lot of time talking about shit that is math related.
Okay.
I think it makes the class better. I think it makes it more enjoyable for students. Like, how many people like just hate being here? No one raised their hand. That's a good sign.
Oh, I am. You just can't see me.
Oh, you can go fuck yourself. How about them apples? How about you kiss my ass? How about that?
I guess funny.
Throw him in the waiting room. Yeah, I try to make it like at least entertaining. Whether it's harassing a student, that's usually my preferred form. Luis is slowly being spared. Jimmy's stepping up, taking some of the brunt. They're very proper and cool. Way to take one for the team. He even thanked you earlier. I don't know if you heard him. He did. He said,
What? It did.
yeah, a little over. He said, I'm not getting picked on as much anymore. That's good. I guess you didn't say thanks, but there was appreciation in your voice. Or am I wrong? Did you want to be picked on?
Yeah.
Liar. You're what? All right, everyone got this done? Nope, I see Penny going. Give yourself another minute. Remember, you're doing the first two together and the second two together. You might actually find it easier to do the second two. It's factoring the second two is usually easier than factoring the first two.
But back to the second, so you're already done.
What?
He's the only one that.
It's factors.
Yeah.
And it's not a 3 in front. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, you.
Now, Luis, you want to be a teacher. But here's a serious offer for you. When we get near the end of the semester, you want to look ahead and go, I'd like to teach one of these topics. Like, give a shot at lecturing for the class. I'll sit on the side and watch you teach. And then I'll fill in the gaps that you don't do. Then you can try your hand at it. Like, seems like something a teacher would want.
Seems fair.
Might be interested, and I realize it's something new and it requires you working ahead, figuring out shit ahead, but I'm willing to work with you on the side, like on Zoom or something. Make sure you're up to par. Something to think about. Alright, so I'm gonna do what I said, giving a try, not necessarily starting with the first group, starting with the second group. There is no S in the 15. So it's clear if there's anything, it's a 5. And 5 does go into 15. So this is going to be a +5. And we're going to have an S plus 3. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Which means hopefully, I don't see any 5s up here. So if this is done correctly, I should have an S plus 3 up here as well. And it looks like what they have in common is R squared. So if I pulled out the R squared, I do have an S and a +3. So that does work. Which means if I finish, I have S plus 3, I pull that out. And what I have left is R squared plus 5, it gets its own parentheses.
Will there ever be a time that the one in parentheses don't match?
Yeah, it's when they don't factor.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes And I've been known to do it. Just put some shit on there that doesn't factor. Like on the test, give you a question that just like I say, factor this. And it doesn't mean you can't even pull out a fucking two. Like there's nothing in common. And students will go and go and go. It's fun. I'll show you how to get by with that, like identify that it doesn't factor. We'll get there. Any questions? So like if you didn't get this answer, this is a good time to go like ask a question related to what I did that diverged from what you did. But I'm not hearing any questions. Drew's looking like he got a fucking question. But he ain't asking shit. I scared Jimmy. Jimmy won't ask questions no more. All right, so let's check this out. 4m squared minus n squared plus 4n minus m squared n. Do the first two have anything in common? No, they don't have anything in common. So this is a good spot that says, maybe we don't do the first two together and the second two together. Maybe we'll change it up and we'll put the first and third together. And then the second and fourth together. What can I pull out of the first two? These all now have something in common. Just a 4, right? What can I pull out of the second set? Just a what? Pull out negative n? Okay. Oh, that's some sneaky shit, right? We didn't have them in the right order. This is actually m squared plus n. We do actually have it, we just don't have it in the right order, so we may not notice it. Be on the lookout for that bad boy. So it looks like we can pull out an m squared plus n. And what's left behind is 4 minus n. That's the answer. You might like it better with an n minus 4 rather than a 4 minus n. If you factor out a negative sign, that works. Because 4 minus n is the same thing as negative times n minus 4. They both work. And sometimes a lot of people find n minus 4 just more satisfying as a proper answer. You will find a lot of questions in this class, usually even in the homework, are set up where the answers work nice and well. And then when you go into like engineering or architecture or fucking biochemistry or nuclear engineering or whatever it is you're gonna do, the numbers are never fucking pretty. A lot of shit in reality isn't pretty. But we get so used to seeing nice little simple answers that like we keep wanting to see it. So if you like seeing the n minus 4, you can factor out a negative from this. This is just something that a lot of students don't. Like they don't embed in their memory. These are the same. And it's not so much that I'm changing the order. First off, I'm factoring out a negative. And then I'm changing the order. It's not just a swap-a-roo of the order. Cause like when you have three terms, then you wouldn't just, you can't just switch the order like that. Yeah,
Then wouldn't that change?
not if you include the negative out here. Like I put the negative out here. And so I've got the negative and the n-4 here. That makes the same thing as the 4 minus n.
It wouldn't affect the first parentheses.
No. That's an excellent question. If you have a negative, it only like. For it to go into both parentheses. You need more than one negative. It's one negative per. Just the same way that. In fact, it's a really good question. This is a common mistake. Just as if I had 2 times x times y. I can see that's just 2xy. I can see that. But if I tried to multiply the 2 in here and the 2 in there, I would have 2x and 2y. And that would give me 4xy, which is wrong. So the 2 only goes into one of them. Just as the same thing here, the negative would only go into one of these parentheses.
Why does it go to the back one?
What?
Why does it go to the back one?
Just because I didn't like the 4 minus n. You would like that even less. Negative m squared minus n. People don't like seeing negatives. They like to see as few of them as possible. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a psycho. But you don't have to do that. You can leave it as 4 minus n. I'm perfectly okay with that. Are you guys ready for more?
Yeah.
All right, 3 terms. Trinomial factoring. Actually, I should ask if you guys need a break. It's been over an hour. Does anyone want a 5-minute break? All right, let's take a 5-minute break. That's exactly what it is. You learn quickly. So 3 term trinomial factoring. You should still always look for a GCF first still. This is always the rule you should follow. Always look for a GCF first. And we're gonna just start out with 5z squared plus 4z minus 12. Trinomial factoring is based off this format, a squared. Sorry, let me redo this. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, in this case, our x is our z. But that makes this my a. The 4 is my b. And the negative 12 is my c. The reason why I say this is we need to find 2 numbers. Where a times c. That multiply to a times c. And add to b. What is, let me give you a second to write this down. So my a is 5. B is 4. C is -12. -12. So A times C is -60. I need two numbers that multiply to -60 and add to 4.
Negative 10. Positive 10 and negative 6.
Positive 10 and -6 will work. So we're gonna go there, but in case you don't recognize it right away, let's develop a pattern that will work. We know, like, if we add them together, we're adding two numbers together and it's a positive number. What does that tell us about the bigger number? If we're adding two numbers together, they're either both positive or the bigger one's positive, right? So we'll do some reasoning here. B is greater than 0, so they're either both positive or bigger is positive. Does everyone gather or connect with that? Like if I had two numbers and the bigger number is the negative number, we wouldn't end up with a positive number. 2 plus -6 is -4. And then I gotta look at A times C. A times C is less than 0. What does that tell me about the signs of my choices? How do you end up with a negative number when multiplying?
Negative, positive.
One is negative, one is positive, yeah. So we're gonna take advantage of this. We know one is positive, one is negative, and when we match that up with the b greater than 0, we know the bigger one's positive. So we can systematically find the numbers that Luis jumped to. Start with two numbers that multiply to -60 and go to the extreme numbers. 60 and -1. 60 and -1 add to 59, and that is it. Now, go with whichever one's the small number, the 1, and raise that. I'm gonna raise this to -2. Does -2 go into -60? It does, it goes in 30 times. 30 minus 2 is 28. That's not it. Next number would be -3. Does -3 go into 60? It does, it goes in 20 times. I had a lot of students, not a lot, but several students usually every semester that, like, why do I need to do this? This is really helpful, like understanding how this works is really helpful when you can't just eyeball it and figure it out like Luis just did. If these numbers are crappy, like A times C is 329, and you're like, oh, I don't know what factors to 329, you're gonna be stuck a while. Does -4 go into -60? It does, it goes in 15 times. This adds up to 11, that's not it. -5 goes in, it goes in 12 times. And 12 minus 5 is 7. We know -6 and 10 is the correct answer. But I'm gonna go past it for a reason real quick. This gets us our 4, and that's the one we want. But like -7 doesn't work. -8 doesn't work. -9 doesn't work. But -10 works. -10 goes into -66 times. First off, we've already broken the rule, the bigger one is positive. But if you add them up, you get -4. which would be bad. Look at the numbers going down the right hand side. What's going as I go down the list? What's happening with the numbers? They're descending. If you stick with the system, they will keep going in one direction, which is helpful. Because if you're going along and your first number is 59 and you know you're looking for a 4, you know you're a long ways off. Jump ahead. If you jump ahead too far and go below the number, or if it's going the opposite order and it's going up, if you go too far, you know you just got to go back. But this is a very systematic approach to finding the factors. And if you do it and like let's say we were looking for b equal, what if b equals 8? Well, we skipped b equals 8, which would mean there's no factors. So if you're systematic in this list over here, you'll actually find out right away that there's no well, not necessarily right away, but you'll know for sure that there's no factors. Students that rush this and like just go, I don't see the factors right away. This might befall Luis sometime in the semester, probably on his homework, because he'll get impatient. And I assume, I don't know, I may be wrong. And he'll put it in and it'll say no, it does factor. If you do the table and you skip the number that works, it definitely doesn't factor. So 10 minus 6 works. So let's go up here and what am I going to do with that 10 minus 6? What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this 4z into plus 10z and minus 6z. Those two add up to 4z. Now I'm going to do my grouping. If you've done this, if you found the right factors, the grouping will work here.
Did you put an X on purpose to make it 6?
Nope. Good catch. Thank you. What are you laughing at? You didn't say shit, Luis. You didn't help me. I'm glad she said something right away. Nothing like having that shit wrong and someone asking like 30 minutes later, can you flip back like 5 pages? What was the X for? I'm like, I don't even know. I can't even fucking find the X anymore. All right, so what comes out of the first set? 2z? Are you sure it's 2z?
5z.
There is a 2, but it's in the second part. Now, we know it's not 5z because 12 doesn't have a z, so we should have a z plus 2 repeat. And to get a negative 6z out of a z, I need a negative 6. Does that factor correctly? Negative 6z minus 12, yes. So this factors into 5z minus 6 and z plus 2.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Does it matter if you were to put 5z squared minus 6 and like swapped it?
that's an excellent question. I'm really glad you asked that. You beat me to it. The Hannah?
Yes.
Hannah's on top of shit. Doing better questions than you are, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Just fucking that bus. See that bus just fucking run over Jimmy and then fucking just backs up. Fucking runs over him again, like goes back and forth. You can go home and fucking be like, this motherfucker. All right, so Hannah said, what happens if I put the 6Z first. We gotta make sure the signs are the same. Go ahead and give it a try. Why is it so dim? Fuck happened here? There we go.
Yeah, it was good rating on compressor.
I do have a good rating on my compressor. I cultivate that shit.
That's-
You know, you're just, you could easily find out. You're asking whether or not I look. Of course, yeah, I fucking look. That's my David's having a bad day. How am I gonna pick myself up? I know, I'll go look and see how many fucking students say I'm awesome. I have one of those few professors or few careers. Well, where I have a fucking. A board that I can just check out and see like have a confidence booster for the day. Hefe isn't always feeling great about himself, but when he looks at Ray, my professor. Hefe,
Confidence booster.
he goes back, he stops being David, he goes back to being Hefe. All right, assuming that you're going with this, what comes out of the first group? Just a Z, right? What does that leave behind? 5Z minus 6. I know I can't have a Z again because the 12 doesn't have a Z. So if it's anything, it's got to be the 5Z minus 6.
2.
And it is, it's 2. Thanks, Josue. Just falling behind over here, Jimmy. And we can pull out the 5Z minus 6. And we got Z plus 2. And so, yes, it does work. The order that you put them in doesn't matter as long as you have the right numbers.
It always work or sometimes it won't.
It always works if you have the right numbers.
Even if you switch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you switch these two order, it doesn't matter. It will, if these are the correct two, it will work and you will get the same combination.
Question.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it's wrong, but I was also thought another way to do it was to find two numbers that add to the middle number and multiply it to the outside, or I don't know how to explain it.
That's what we just did. We found two numbers that add to the middle number, which is B,
Oh, okay. But
and multiply to the outer numbers.
the only difference is the way I was shown, it skips the grouping stage.
Okay, so starting with 5Z squared plus 4Z minus 12. What would you do here?
So I would find the number that multiplies to -2, that means -12, but adds into 4Z
But adds into what?
or Z. So it was a -6 and a +2.
So -6 and +2.
Yeah. And then I would just do I did 5Z minus 6 in parentheses and then Z plus 2 in parentheses.
What made you jump to 5Z going with -6?
Oh, because -6 times +2 is -12. I just distributed the parentheses.
So you like did some guessing and checking.
Yeah. So,
Guessing and checking always works if you find it.
oh, okay.
That's the big if.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah, there are other ways to do it. In fact, I was gonna mention guessing and checking on this in a second. Guessing and checking always works. This one can be a little rough. 5Z made it easy. One of them has to have a 5Z and the other just has to have a Z. But if I give you some shit like 120Z squared, there's a lot of ways to factor 120. You're like, I don't know which combination works.
Yeah.
So like it works. Guess and check like that, or like seeing what works in some cases. But it's harder than shit in others.
Okay. So it's just best to go through the steps, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
Because these two adding to 4 is coincidence. I can give you, like, when we have something that isn't just a 5 and a number, like when they both have a number. This isn't always gonna work.
Oh,
Pretty sure it doesn't. Now I'm curious. Do I got a harder one up here? Yes, I do. Where do we wanna go with here? Oh, let me talk about guessing and checking first. So like we had 5z squared plus 4z minus 12. If I wanted to do a guess and check approach. Like there's only so many ways the 5z squared can break down. I'm gonna need a 5z in one of the parentheses and a z in the other. And I know the last two numbers need to multiply to -12. So, but there's a lot of combinations that have that. We got -1 and 12, we got -2 and 6, -3 and 4, -4 and 3, -6 and 2, and 12 and 1. I don't know that your thing always works, but I want to see it on a bigger thing and just verify. It might. I don't think it does. I think the problem is that this was simple like that. This means there are this many ways to write this. I can put the -1 and the 12 either with the 5z like that. Or I can have 5z plus 12 like this and z minus 1 over here. So I can do this with each combination here. I can write out the 5z and the z going with both, and then just changing which order or what goes where. I'm doing -2 and 6 here. I'll put the -2 here, +6 there, and +6 here, -2 here. And you can go through and like multiply it out and see which one works. This is a guess and check approach. Notice each one of these produces 2. So I could have to check at most, I could have to check 12 here. That's actually not too bad. Because you usually like stumble on it quicker than 12. But like if you have shitty numbers, and I guarantee you the homework will give you shitty numbers, it's not always gonna work. Let's try it on this one. Ooh, I don't know, let's see. Let me write out what I want real quick. Start with the result and work backwards. So let's try. Uh, 24x squared plus 66x plus 45. What's the first thing we check for? I know some of you are trying to jump straight into trinomial factoring. We're looking for a GCF. Do these have a GCF?
Yeah.
There's clearly not an X because the 45 doesn't have an X. But these numbers do all have a number in common. What is it?
3.
It's 3. If we pull out a 3, this is 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. So here my A is going to be 8. I'm going to use that one. And C is 15. So A times C is 8 times 15, which is 120. B is 22. We're going to let him use his guess and check method, and we're going to compare this with my method and see which one gets there first. They're multiplying to a positive number and they add to a positive number, so they're both positive. So I'm gonna try 1 and 120, and that adds up to 121, and that's way too high. 120 is divisible by 6. I can go 6 and 20. That's 26. That's still too high, but I'm getting close. 120 and 10. I can do 10 and 12. That adds up to 22. So I'm gonna leave my 3 out there. And I'm gonna use 8x squared plus 10x plus 12x plus 15.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Did you have to take the 3 out, or did you just do that to work with smaller numbers?
you should take the 3 out. You should always factor out what you can. If you don't, you're gonna see later on that you're gonna have a multiple of 3 in one of the parentheses.
Okay.
And you should factor it out later, like the homework's gonna want you to factor it out later.
Okay.
It makes the entire process easier now. This is a pain in the ass with 24 times 45. Good question, though. So no, you don't have to do it now. We'll pair these up. I've got a 3 out front. I'm gonna use big brackets right here, because like there's a bunch of parentheses shit going on. 8 and 10 have a 2 in common. And they both have an x. So this is 4x plus 5. And it looks like I need another 4x plus 5. And that would require a plus 3. Plus 3 times 4x is 12x. And plus 3 times 5 is 15. So that works. So I got my 3 outside. I pull out the 4x plus 5. And I've got my 2x plus 3. In fact, I know for certain your approaches are gonna work right now,
Yes.
because there's no 2 numbers that,
Yeah, yes, check works.
didn't you, how did you say it? They add to B?
Multiply it to the last number or C to add it to B.
So what 2 numbers multiply to 15 but add to 22?
Oh, I think you can do the.
This is exactly what he said.
No, I was taught guess to check as well. And the 8x squared plus 22x plus 15. And then you take it out and put in 4x plus 5 and 2x plus 3. So that the first 2 numbers both equal to 8x squared, and then the
Yeah, guess and check definitely works. The approach he said didn't.
Yeah, without factoring the 3, right?
He said they multiply to the last number and add to the middle number. Multiply to the last number is 15. There's 2 combinations, 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. That's it. One of them adds to 16, one of them adds to 8. Neither of them add to 22.
No, guess and check does not work with like, oh, they had to multiply to the last number, and that's that, it does not work. It will eventually like.
But he didn't say guess and check. I said guess and check. He said a very specific pattern. You see it, right?
Yeah, no, I see that.
Luis is arguing with me about something. He's fucking third party. This is a fucking backseat driver here. Don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I already said guess and check works. Guess and check just can take a really long time. And you may give up before you find it and go, this doesn't work. This was very systematic and I found it relatively quickly. In fact, that's because I use good numbers. What if I throw in decimals in there and I have fucking 2.7, 3.6 and shit like that? You are not factoring shit like that. This isn't gonna work out well with that. True. Go with guess and check. Use guess and check as far as you can. I promise you're gonna get to a point where guess and check doesn't work for you.
This seems real.
It is longer, but it always works. Guess and check doesn't always work.
I don't know.
Not in a realistic time frame.
I just would like to ask. a
Trust me, I've
question.
been doing this for a lot longer than you. I've found problems that I was very much a guess and check. Sorry, Jose. I was
Okay.
very much a guess and check person too.
This is just how I was taught. They didn't teach me this, that's why.
No, a lot of people don't teach this. This is something I came up with at this table. Because it always works. And it tells you when there are no factors. Guess and check doesn't ever tell you that. Guess and check at best can tell you you haven't found them yet. I can show you. In fact, we're gonna do it right now. Let's do 3x squared minus 15x plus 16. I'm sorry, Josue, what do you want to ask?
You're gonna multiply like the 4x by 3 plus 5. Yeah, yeah. My question was the last you did. That's the complete answer, or you have two more,
No, that's the
or you have
complete
to
answer.
multiply.
It's factored.
Oh, okay, then you don't
I'm
have
trying to
put
get into the
yeah.
parentheses form.
Okay.
So let's do 3x squared minus 15x plus 16. So this is A, B, and C.
36.
I need two numbers that multiply to A times C, which is 48. And they have to add the negative 15. For them to add to a negative number, but multiply to a positive number, they both have to be negative. So I'm going to try -1 and -48, which is -49. I'm going to try -2 and -24, and that adds to -26. I'm going to try -3 and -16. That adds up to -19. -4 and -12 add up to -16. We're almost there. Next one should get it. -15 should be the next number. -5 doesn't work. Negatives, so I could write -5, but nothing works there. -6 is the next one. -8 would be the multiple that makes 48, and these two add to -14. We skipped -15 in the process. This does not factor. Does not factor.
You mean 15 for that, I'm sorry.
What?
Are we looking for 14 or 15?
We're looking for 15 to be. 50, -15 would have been in here. But we went through the order and we bypassed it. We went from -16 to -14. -15 was not an answer, and we tried all the integer combinations between the two. So since it skipped it, like -5 doesn't work with 48. It does not factor. Now this, you can try doing a lot of things here. You can do the 3x and you can do the x. And you can do all the variations of 16. So 16 has 1 times 16, 2 times 8, 4 times 4, and then all the negative versions as well. And you have to change which one goes in each bracket. Now, I think you could quickly isolate it down to these to get the negative, but this still leads to 6 combinations. Now, granted, I had to go through 6 combinations here as well. But I started off with small numbers. These are relatively small numbers. We could have a really big combination where you're like, this is like 24, this is like fucking 80 over here. And B is like 33 or some shit. You're like, I got a lot of guessing to go on. Guessing takes a long time. This process will relatively quickly get you to either the number or skipping the number and going, nope, it's not there. It doesn't factor. So, yes. guessing and checking does work to an extent. You will eventually find a problem where it's hard to figure out the factors, or it doesn't factor, and the numbers are so big that trying all the guess and check options is an unrealistic amount of time. You will give up on a test. Like you'll just say, fuck this question, I'll skip it and miss the problem. But if you know how to do this pattern here, you'll find it quickly. That's all I'm saying. We'll do more factoring on Monday. So what day is it?
Do we have class on Monday?
People are telling me no. Let me go look at the fucking syllabus.
Yeah.
Is it this week?
Yep.
Already? I get a fucking weekend? Without you, Jimmy? I don't know that I can handle that.
Pretty good, right?
No, that's terrible. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, who's gonna pick his brain about religion? Have peace and quiet, I don't know, right?
Oh, sure as shit, it says holiday. Have a good holiday. Oh, on this Saturday, I'm gonna be in the Mesa Center, the John Muir Building, room 124, from 9 AM till noon. So if you wanna come in and like ask math questions, I'll be over in the Visalia area helping students. You guys are more than welcome to come. You can
So
find out.
don't
what
go
Mesa
on
Center is
Saturday,
ahead
right?
of time. What?
You said don't go on Saturday. What time are you going?
9 to 12. I will send out an email.
I have a question, just a quick question, like,
That's right.
after,
What's up? This way.
after we're done with like, in my lab, after we make the assignments, if, I mean, we make the assignments.
Huh?
And if we want to come back and practice, they're gonna be closed?
You should be able to go back and practice.
No, I mean, after the due date, you can come back and practice because I had a class in my, that had my lab. You couldn't go back to practice with the assignment.
I'll double check. I think I have it set up where you can. Some teachers
No.
don't, some teachers do. I'll
You
double
do?
check. I don't, oh, look. I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look for you. But if not, I will set it up so that you can.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that's the following.
Yeah.
I'm in your Tuesdays, Thursdays, or I Zoom in a lot, but when you're, I'm not sure if you said it yet, because I like set it on. But your office hours for like your Starbucks ones, or is it just you just have normal regular office hours?
I might start doing them.
Or like.
I haven't announced.
Oh, okay.
I'll send out something. I will also invite you guys. I'll take care of it. I'll send in a message.
Good day.
I have a question before you go.
Yeah.
It's a personal question, but
Uh-oh. Yeah, what's up?
no, not bad, but